Hi there, Silverado owners. Today in your 2017 Chevrolet Silverado 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install BMWs Class 5 trailer hitch receiver. And this is what our hitch looks like when it's installed. For the most part, our cross tube is going to be hidden behind the bumper, so you're really only going to see the receiver and the safety chain loops here at the back. And I do like the way the safety chain loops are so big and robust, it kind of gives it a more rugged look here at the back of our truck. It's a Class 5 2-inch by 2-inch receiver, so this baby's going to be able to handle just about anything that you can throw at it. Whether you're needing to haul some heavy equipment around, or if you just want to use it recreationally and bring a big old boat to the lake with you for the weekend. It uses a 5/8 inch hitch pin and clip. Now, one doesn't come included with the hitch, but we have plenty available here at eTrailer.com. It also features slanted plate style safety chain loops with a very large opening that should accommodate most of your medium and larger size safety chains with no problem, but due to the thickness here on the side, some of your smaller safety chains may have difficulties making attachments. So you can even see here, this is a decent size safety chain, but we can't really hook in there very properly. But we do have quick links available here at eTrailer.com that you can slide on, and you can then easily attach any safety chain to the quick links. It features a 1,600-pound tongue weight, which is the force going down on top of our receiver, which again is going to be more than enough for your larger trailers loaded up, as well as any cargo carrier or bike rack fully loaded up to the max. It also features a 16,000-pound gross towing capacity. So if you've got some heavy equipment that you're needing to haul around, this is a great option if you need a bumper mount solution for your trailer. Now, as always, I recommend that you verify in your vehicle's owner's manual and ensure you don't exceed any of its towing capacities. Also included with your hitch, you'll receive a bracket for a 7-way connector that will attach right here. Now, we're not going to be attaching it because our Silverado has factory wiring already on it, so we're not going to be adding any of that wiring, just using the factory one. There is hardware included with your kit to get that mounted up. Now, I've got some measurements for you to help you when deciding on accessories. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, it's about 1 inch, and our receiver is going to stick out past the bumper about 2 inches. The center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the bumper is important when determining if any of your folding accessories can be placed in the upright storage position without contacting the bumper, but since our receiver hitch sticks out even past it, you likely won't have any issues there. And from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube, it measures about 20¼ inches. This is important when determining if you need a drop, a rise, or a raise shank on any of your accessories. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's go over the installation together so you can have the confidence to do it at home. We'll begin our installation by lowering down our spare tire. You can find your tools inside the vehicle. If you need some assistance with that, there's more information in your owner's manual. Once we get it lowered down, we're just going to set the spare tire aside so it's out of our way. Then if you had a ball in place, you want to get that removed as well. We'll now head underneath, and there are 2 bolts located on the bottom side of the frame on each side. We're going to take those out using a 21mm socket. The bolt that's slightly towards the front of the vehicle, you'll need to use a 21mm wrench to hold the nut. The rearmost has a weld nut that's going to stay in place. Make sure to retain your hardware as you are going to be using some of this during your reinstallation. We can then come up on the side and we're going to remove our side bolts. These have nuts on them, and then the 2 studs here are kind of attached together. So we're going to take these off with an 18mm socket. And you'll want to retain these as well. And then if we follow our bumper beam down towards the center, just behind our license plate, we'll find another bolt. We're going to remove this bolt with a 13mm socket. Now what I like to do with these is I like to take this bolt and just thread it in just a couple of turns, just so that way it'll catch it. Because we're going to repeat the same process that we just did on this side over on the other side to remove all the hardware. Because you can see we've got this side all loose. And once we're all done, we'll just have our beam hanging by just these 2 little bolts to make it easy for us to drop it down. Now with all the hardware loose, we can come back to those 2 bolts that we just had loosely installed to hold it up there. Just take those out. And then we'll drop our beam down and set it aside as we won't be reinstalling it. And we're going to go ahead and reinstall the hardware that we removed, just so that way it's going to retain with our vehicle. So we'll always have it if we ever need to reinstall our bumper beam. The bolts that we took out of the bottom of the frame, though, we are going to leave those out as they're going to be in the way of putting our hitch up. We'll now need to do just some small pre-assembly to our hitch. The side pieces, where it'll attach to the frame, just come separate in your box. You just simply slide those on and then attach it with the short bolts, nuts, and lock washers like you see here. We're going to leave those loose at this time because we do need to make sure everything's going to line up. We'll tighten it down once we get the rest of our hardware started. We're now going to come underneath the vehicle, and on each side we're going to prepare one bolt with the large spacer. This is the longer bolt that comes in your kit. We're now going to take our prepared bolt and we're going to drop it down through the large hole here. That's just behind the hanger on our passenger side here. And there'll be one just like this over on the driver's side. We're going to drop it down in there as well. With an extra set of hands, we'll now lift our hitch into position, lining up our hitch with the bolt that we just dropped down. And then we'll take a lock washer, slide it over the bolt, and then secure it with a nut. Once you've got one started on each side, the hitch will hold itself up, making it easier to install the rest of your hardware. Next, we're going to use the factory bolt that we had removed. This is the one that didn't have a nut on the other side. We're going to go through the hitch and then thread it into the factory weld nut located in the frame. We'll do this on the other side as well. Now that we've got our hitch held up by all four corners, it's going to be easier to get our hardware in as we need to. Our middle bolts, we're going to use the smaller spacers with the hole in the center. We're going to drop our bolts down and then go through the hole that lines up with our hitch. We'll do this on each side. We can then secure it on the bottom with the offset spacers. See how the hole is offset? And then follow that up with a lock washer and a nut. Now the forwardmost bolts that we first started, these ones also need that offset spacer. It's just very difficult to lift this heavy hitch and get those started, so that's why it's easier to just get everything started first, and then we can just come right back here, thread that nut off, and add our spacer back, and then reattach it. We're going to do that on the other side as well, so our two forwardmost bolts with our new hardware will have the offset spacers between the nut, lock washer, and the hitch. We can now go back and tighten our hardware. We're going to start by tightening the bolts that attach our side plates to the frame. For the new hardware, we're going to be using a 19mm socket and wrench to tighten it down. And for our factory hardware, we're going to be using a 21mm socket. Once our frame bolts are tightened, then we can go back and tighten down the side plates to our hitch using a 19mm socket and wrench. We can then go back and torque all of our hardware to the specifications found in our instructions. This includes our side bolts as well. And then the side bolts that we put in do provide some bumper support, so we want to make sure that those are torqued as well. The specifications will be found in your instructions. And that completes our installation of BMWs Class 5 trailer hitch receiver on our 2017 Chevrolet Silverado 1500.